So the major problem that I think I have at the moment is I don't know if I've fallen too far down the woke rabbit hole. I mean, I was watching this video put out by Andrew Lawrence earlier, and Andrew Lawrence has always been a sort of a favourite comedian of mine. I've always loved his stuff, always thought it was really funny. And he got into trouble earlier this year for making some racist remarks on Twitter, and he got sort of deplatformed, or not deplatformed from Twitter, or banned from Twitter for making these remarks about black footballers. And I read the remarks he made on Twitter, and yeah, I did find them a bit distasteful. And I put this comment on his, um, in the comment section, which I know you should never do, on YouTube, on his video, saying words to the effect of, "I've always really liked you as a comedian. However, I think you should probably apologise for your racism, and then just sort of things will go back to normal, and you can have a career again." Because his agent dropped him and he got banned from all these comedy clubs. And he's really good, he's really funny, he's very talented. And it's a shame to see that sort of happen to a comedian. But now I'm seeing online he's managed to sort of cultivate his own little following of racists, which he refers to them as, his words, not mine. Since he put out a video called "Take a Knee, You Racist," I assume he's talking about his fan base, in a sort of tongue-in-cheek fashion. So it's become, the irony that's pervading society has become very kind of hard to pin down. Since on the one hand you have sort of ironical tongue-in-cheek racism, which isn't really racism, it's more like race-related humour. And that's stuff that I've done in the past on stage. I've done sort of, for instance, I had a lady walk out and decry me as an anti-Semite for doing this bit called Matt Baker's Guide to Ethnic Cleansing, which goes a bit like this. So I sort of start off by saying, "Oh, I hate TV at the moment. I never watch TV anymore. There's always crap on TV, like Matt Baker's Guide to Ethnic Cleansing." You ever seen that when it comes on TV? Matt Baker's Guide to Ethnic Cleansing. It comes on there. Matt Baker. "Hello, I'm Matt Baker, and welcome to Matt Baker's Guide to Ethnic Cleansing. This week we'll be taking a tour of the concentration camps of Europe, starting with my personal favourite, Bergen-Belsen." And it's just a sort of a bit about a made-up TV show that is trying to comment on the fact that TV is sort of overly propagandistic, weird, happy, smiley too much, and dark and weird at the moment. And that was sort of taken once or twice ever that I've done on stage. Usually gets quite a big laugh, but I've had a couple of people sort of walk out and say that it's racist to so much as mention concentration camps on stage. It wasn't even a joke about Jewish people. The target of the joke was Matt Baker, not the Jews. And because I thought the funny idea at the heart of it was Matt Baker having a favourite concentration camp, and I just thought that was a funny idea. And then I think I also do this bit on stage where I mentioned the word faggot over and over and over again in the context of this great big bald fat bloke from up north coming and sitting down next to me and mouthing off saying he hates faggots. And then I say I'm a bit of an impasse in what to do in this situation, so I just look away from him, look down and continue eating my faggots. And that always gets a reasonably big laugh as well on stage. So like that may well be taken as a homophobic bit, but it never has actually, weirdly enough. I think the humour may be a little bit more obvious there. But going back to Andrew Lawrence, like, do I think what he said on Twitter was intended to be racist or antagonistic towards black people? I don't know if it was. Maybe he was just joking. Maybe the joke was, yeah, a little bit distasteful. And as I said, I found it distasteful. Or as I think I said, I found it distasteful. But that's comedy. Occasionally something doesn't work. It falls flat and you get silence in the room. All you have to do in that sort of situation is just not do it again. But then Twitter isn't really a stand-up comedy stage. It's more like a vast, well, imagined space online where people just say stuff. And it's very easy, so because it's not really framed within the context of a comedy performance, it's very easy for people to sort of home in on how those comments may have been racist, and they may have been antagonistic for those reasons. And does it deserve an apology? I don't know. It might do, but I don't think Andrew Lawrence has come out and made an apology about it. Or then again, am I being too woke, and am I being too sort of paranoid myself about my own attitudes towards these sorts of things? And should I really sort of say, well, I don't care about what comments he made on Twitter at all. I just find him a funny comedian. And would like some comments he made on Twitter really affect whether or not I went to see him do stand-up if he ever gets back to doing stand-up again? Oh shit, I just realised the video he put out called Take a Knee, You Racist is back from 19th of July 2020. So that's sort of anachronistic to what I've just been saying. But yeah, it's... Well, has he gone too far? Thing is, I did think he went too far. I still like him as a performer though. But I would like to see him make an apology. Or does he have to apologise? I don't know. Yeah. It just struck me as being sort of a little bit too desperate for a laugh also, or a bit too... well, frankly, a bit too racist. Or it's smacked of being genuinely racist. That's the real problem with it. Rather than race, it's smacked of being something more than race-related humour. It's smacked of racism, which is a little bit different, I think. And here I am in a bra talking about this shit, but... oh well. Like, this is nothing new. This sort of stuff was going on in the 1980s, it was going on in the 90s, it was going on in the 2000s, it was going on in the 2010s. You know, has political correctness gone too far? And political correctness has been, for the longest time, something that comedians have always had to work around. And but there is humour in deploying elements of racism, such as slurs, such as racist ideas, for comic effect, but it takes a comedic mind to be able to figure out how to do it effectively and without causing offence, and how to do it whereby if it does cause offence, it really ought not to cause offence, considering the context, and considering crucially the context in which certain elements of racism, sexism or homophobia are framed. And that's really the art of how to do it. Whereas if you just strip it all away, like Andrew Lawrence did in his tweets, then you're just left with racism, which is unpalatable. Because it's just... or it may have been intended to be funny, but then again, intent doesn't really matter all that much, necessarily, and it does sort of matter how it comes across and who's upset by it. I guess, like, the key to it is really not upsetting the majority. So it's a tricky one anyway. But yeah, I thought I'd talk about this for a little while online, since it's something that comics have to sort of adapt to, and it's something that we all have to sort of come to an understanding about, I think. Otherwise, well, or you can be like Jim Davidson and be, frankly, rather antagonistic on stage and still get somewhere as a stand-up comic. But yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, because comedy, I don't think, really should hurt the feelings of too many people, if you know what I mean. It shouldn't be just, it should always be making people laugh, if you see what I mean. If it's making some people laugh and other people get antagonised by it, I don't think that's such a huge problem because it's still comedy, whereas something that is put out onto Twitter is a little bit different and it's not really on a stand-up stage. I think that's what I'm trying to say. But if you just spout racism on stage and it's getting no laughs and you continue doing it, well then you've stopped really doing stand-up comedy and you sort of started doing a sort of bizarre, unhinged performance of some kind that smacks more of being mentally ill than being funny, if you see what I mean. And there is a line there, and the art of doing race-related humour is the art of sort of dancing upon that line without ever really crossing it, and knowing where the line is so you can sort of edge up to it and then back away from it and then edge up to it again and again and again without actually crossing it. I think that's the general art of it. I'm going to stop this video because I'm getting a little bit cold. Sorry everyone, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye, love you lots.